Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today I'll be doing a review of Spider-Man No Way Home, which just came out tonight. Just got back from the premiere, and before actually going into the film, don't worry, this will be a spoiler-free review, and I will say, first off, go into this film not knowing any spoilers, because I think it is going to make this film so much more enjoyable. And also, go to see it during a prime time, because before getting into the actual film, I think it's important just to note, I was just so happy and thrilled just to get to the theater and see everything packed, to see all of the car spots packed, after having been to that theater, been to my local AMC theater several times over the pandemic era, to go see films, because that's just the kind of person that I am, and to always see it empty and to always have the theaters be empty and barely any workers, it was just it was fantastic. It was amazing to see literally just crowds of people, and I'm not in a very large city either, and so just to see all the cars, to see every person there, and then to be in a theater. I will say I did have some issues with the people in my theater a little bit, because all of them were the kind of people that came in a little bit late. I really do feel that a lot of people probably hadn't been to a movie since the pandemic started, because it seemed that people had kind of forgotten the general movie etiquette. Not to say that everyone always had that, because there's, again, always been issues with movie etiquette in general. But before, again, going into the review, I just wanted to say that it was amazing to see the crowd, and also to experience the film with a crowd, with an active, reactive crowd as well. There's just nothing else like it, and it just brought me back to high school, where I remember going to see premieres of things like, and even early college, premieres of things like The Dark Knight, and premieres where you would have just a crap ton of people. Everyone would be excited and buzzed for it. That's what this film has. And also, it just destroys the narrative that has been laid out consistently about, these films aren't doing well because of the pandemic, and that's the only... No. This tonight proved everything that has been said about that completely wrong. And if you actually go to see the movie this weekend, you will experience it for yourself. But let's go ahead and jump into the review. And before I do, make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching on Odyssey. It really does mean a lot. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with the bell notification on. That way you know every time a video or live stream goes live on the channel. I know that was a long introduction, but to me, the crowd, the experience of the theater, it is a part of the movie-going experience, and that is going to add to whether, it's going to add to the subjective experience. So I think that, starting off, I think that this film is an incredibly enjoyable film. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I know that there's probably going to be a lot of complaints about how much of the typical Marvel comedic moments, there's serious things going on, and then there's a joke cracked, and I understand that. I think that's a totally valid complaint, and I think that's a totally valid criticism. It doesn't change the fact that I still enjoy that type of comedy. I remember, I still to this day defend Thor Ragnarok, for instance. I have a lot of fun with that movie. I find that movie to be incredibly entertaining, and I know that not everyone agrees with me on that, but I just, again, that's just the kind of comedy that in general I enjoy, and to have, again, a crowd reacting with you, it just also makes it that much more fun. So there's a lot of fun comedy elements within the film, throughout the film. There's just some dramatic elements to it as well. There's obviously a ton of stuff going on that I really can't go into, because it would just, again, I'm trying to watch what I say, because I don't want to give anything really away at this point in time. But I will say that as far as the overall tone is concerned, it's just a lot of fun. So to me, if you're looking for a fun Spider-Man film, if you've been waiting for a fun Spider-Man film, especially during the Tom Holland era of Spider-Man, I think that you will find stuff to enjoy in this movie. I found myself thoroughly enjoyed throughout it. I think the presence of Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, in the film definitely helped, as of course has been kind of the story with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It seems that he's always kind of needed a little bit of help by having other characters from the MCU featured. By the way, it's fun just to point out that the first thing that you see on the screen is a giant Sony symbol, because this is a Sony movie. And in fact, the third thing you see on the screen is the Marvel Studios logo, because that's right, it's a Sony Columbia Pictures, again, Sony company film. Again, just going to put that out there, because there's still people that for some reason can't accept that. So when this movie makes $1 billion, guess what? Sony is going to be making bank, because after tonight, I can say for sure this film is no doubt in my mind gonna reach the $1 billion mark. When you have that kind of energy in the theater, when you have that kind of energy around these characters, and when you have a story that, even though it's a 2.5-hour film, for me, it did not feel that long. Really, it's not until the end where because it just, it's basically, it doesn't slow down until the very end. For me, at least. Maybe the beginning, obviously, because it's, it kind of jumps into the story from where the previous film left off. But really, when you get to the end is when it slows down a lot. And I think that was for me when I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of, breathe now, because there's been so many things going on, and my emotions have been being pulled, this way and that way because of all the things that are going on screen. And I thought that everything was handled, incredibly well. I think that they could have easily relied on certain things in the film that could have taken kind of control of the overall movie. And instead of doing that, they made this film very clearly focused on, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and they were able to tell that story without anything else kind of weighing it down by any means. It still very much is his movie, and I thought that they did a very good job kind of balancing that act just a little bit, especially in a film like this, where again, it's a giant budget film. It's a film set in the MCU, right? So there's going to be a lot of things going on, and I think that it could have been very easily lost. The story could have very easily got lost, but I found that a lot of it was actually very easy to follow, and I thought that it was a lot of fun because of that. And also just be ready to have some great reactions. I know that I'm kind of speaking very, kind of cryptically and not going, but it's really hard to talk about the movie and about the parts that I love, because the parts that I love the most absolutely are things that, would spoil the story. And I don't want to go too far into that. So just pure objective elements. I thought the story was well put together for what it was. I definitely think there are some weak elements to it. I definitely think that there are some elements that if you were to overthink them, you could easily poke holes in some of the storylines and some of the story arcs, some things that maybe don't make a lot of sense. And I think there's a valid criticism to be found there, and I think that some people will be making some valid criticisms there for sure. But I also think that there's enough fun in the movie for most people to be able to look past those flaws. And to me, they're not fatal flaws. There's been other films this year that people have had fun with that to me had fatal flaws in their overall story. I don't think this is a film that has those types of fatal flaws. The acting in this film also is just spot on. I personally think Tom Holland's a very talented young actor, and he puts on some really great dramatic chops in this film. Zendaya as well. I know that there's people out there, shout out to Tina, Empress of the Universe. I know that she's not a fan, but I thought Zendaya also gave a really great performance. The young actor, the actor that plays his best friend, also gave a great performance, some great dramatic moments throughout the entire film. And again, so many other amazing performances to really, talk about in later videos. But I honestly think that this film, objectively has a lot of things going for it. It is definitely not a perfect movie. I would say arguably it's the best of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think that that's an easy point to make. The CGI, as you all know, I'm kind of a CGI nut. Some of the CGI is good, and some of the CGI is really bad. So this can't really get away from those elements when you're going to rely so heavily on CGI for so many of your things. But obviously there are some things that look pretty good. There's some elements where there actually, there's a transition from CGI in the very beginning. There's, obviously the swinging around with MJ in the very beginning, which we see in the trailer, and it transitions from, real stuff going on from CGI or green screen elements into an actual real shot of her actually dangling from from outside of her window and everything. And people may not know this because they don't maybe know a lot about her work, but when she did The Greatest Showman, she actually did a lot of her own stunts, and she actually did a lot of training to do a lot of those things. And I think that kind of showed and played out in this film as well. Not to say that she didn't have a stunt person do anything for her, but I do think that she is one of those actresses that is willing to do a little bit more than maybe some of the other actresses that we have seen in the MCU as well. So again, I don't personally understand the hatred towards her. I thought that she did a fine job. And also, I would say that if anyone's mad because simply of the fact that she is MJ, I will say that I think this is the movie for you, because I think this movie is going to really help you kind of better understand where she fits into this universe, which of course now is opening up into the multiverse with everything going on with Doctor Strange in the film, because obviously there's connections to be made with the multiverse of madness, which is set to come out next year as well. But overall, thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I cannot wait to dive into some spoiler talk at another point in the future. But I would say go see this film. It's a lot of fun. Most of the money that you are going to be giving in a ticket, it's not going to be going to Disney. It's going to be going to Sony, because 75% of the profits go to Sony. So if that is a concern of yours, there is that. And I would say that go into it blind. In fact, if you've been listening even this far into the video, or even watching this, why are you even online? Why are you even on YouTube? There's people putting spoilers in their thumbnails and other nonsense like that. So yeah, don't do that. If you want to watch this movie, again, not everyone will, but if you do want to watch this film, go in blind. It's so much fun if you do. So if I had to give this film a grade, after my experience, I'm giving this film a solid A. That's all there is to it. I think that this is a film that maybe the grade could change over time. I could fall to the A- range, but to me, the movie and all of its elements were just very well done, very respectful, very well crafted. I thought all really worked well together, and it created kind of that blockbuster event that we've been waiting for a long time. We haven't had really a blockbuster film, in my opinion, that kind of reaches these levels since Infinity War. Endgame to me was trash. Endgame to me was a total abomination. You think about so many of the Star Wars films, any of the other major franchises that have kind of all bombed. This one, as far as the big budget films, right, the big tentpole items, this to me is the first to deliver probably since Infinity War, which is, I think, saying quite a lot. And not everyone, of course, is going to like it. And there's a couple of moments and a couple of lines that are a little bit cringe, because they kind of hint to the future a little bit. And obviously but in the end, I think that going to see this with an audience is going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Have you seen the film? Let me know in the comment section below. Please also leave spoilers out of the comment section. However, I will say, if you're on a YouTube comment section and you actually care about spoilers, I can't help you, because you're already kind of, loading a gun in a certain way, putting yourself at risk. You might as well be handing that over to Alec Baldwin. Anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section below this video. Smash that like button, light up the fire button. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my December Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members: animation commentator Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Dolores Ed, Dion, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to You Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyles 79, Laura, The Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson ×4, Mitch Dunaway, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody, Mondo Spieler, On to June, Orange Chat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Ullen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, and Tina Bojan, and of course, the Empress of the Universe, Tina B. Thank you very much for being my Patreon members. And for my Subscribe Star members, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stan 4, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you very much for supporting me on Subscribestar. And to my 4 members over on Locals.com, Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, once again, Mike Jackson, Bifford a Hobbit, and Robert Barnes. Thank you for supporting me on Locals. And if you want to have your name shouted out at the end of every video and live stream, check out the top link in the video description below. It's called Willow, or .w.lo, Willow link. It'll bring you to all of my social media platforms and also to all of the various other locations that you can support the channel. You can get access to things like giveaways, where I do giveaways of 4K films, 4K steelbooks, digital codes, all kinds of stuff every single month. Also, there's a level where you get access to all of that, plus an exclusive podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where you also get to ask questions that we will answer on every episode of the podcast. And at the final level, you also have the ability, the Chosen of Valhalla level, you have the ability to have all of that, plus in your first month, get a free t-shirt of your choice, any color, sent anywhere in the world, and also you get to be featured once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream featured on the main channel. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the description. You're all amazing and beautiful people. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.